Hey y'all, welcome back to Mary Expressions, where I take the time to share a little bit of myself with you all, and I invite y'all to come on in the house and do the same with me. Take a moment to go ahead and hit that like button. If you haven't done so already, also hit the subscribe button, please, y'all. That is very, 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 very important to help get me out in these YouTube streets, get the algorithm going like it should be. And then just let me know how you're doing. If you're A1, drop me a mirror emoji down in the chat. That just lets me know, hey, Kay, I'm doing good. I'm fantastic. I'm fabulous. I'm loving life. I'm loving who I am. And then if you're not, as always, I encourage you to do what you must. Get back to a healthier you. All right, y'all. Today we will be discussing all things Halloween ends. I want to know, first of all, before we get into it, what did y'all think of the movie? Like, how would you rate it? Is it like a thumbs up, a thumbs down, or kind of like right in the middle? I want to know. Tell me. Put a thumbs up, thumbs down, or right in the middle down in the chat. I'm going to give it I'll give it a right in the middle. There were some things that were great. There were some things that was just like, I will say, like, if I had to venture towards going a little bit this way or going a little bit that way, I would go a little bit that way. Like, the ending definitely just did not do it for me. When you thinking about this climax that you're waiting on, like the final countdown between Laurie and Michael Myers, it just didn't give what it was supposed to be gave. Not for me, anyways. Let me see. We saw like a lot of references to like old Halloweens. So I like those little subtle things in the movie, because they weren't just readily just out there jumping out at you. Like, if you didn't know, you just didn't know. You wouldn't have called them. If you've kind of been a fan of the Halloween franchises or you're up on it, then you probably picked up on a few of those. But yeah, there were a lot of subtle references. There were a lot of other little Easter eggs, like at one point you see a movie on the television and it's the same movie from it's a movie from John Carpenter, which is the same guy who did the original Halloween. Let me see. This movie was slow to start. Like, it was quite a while. I don't know how far in, because I wasn't looking at the time, but it was quite a while before we even got to really see Michael Myers come and do his thing. Like, the first part of the movie was really building up this other guy, Corey. He kind of is put out there as one of the main characters throughout the movie. So the first part of the movie was kind of spent, building his character up. Let's see. And I don't know. Yeah, it was just okay for me. It was just okay. It was just okay. I would have thought more, but clearly, even though by the end we see that Michael Myers is gone, but I'm probably 99% sure that there's going to be more to come within this franchise. Like, it just, even how it ended just kind of seemed like it was a setup. And even like the running theme throughout the movie, which was evil still lives, it just kind of changes shapes. I feel like it's going to continue. I will say another thing before I kind of get to the storyline, is that Michael Myers all of a sudden seemed weak in this movie. Was it just me, or did y'all pick up on that too? Like he just seemed like super weak. And I know this was kind of something I kept feeling like they were driving home to. Like, oh, you're just a man. But you know, any other movie within this franchise, we see him like almost being indestructible or whatever. And just for him to all of a sudden come now, like even in the very last Halloween, Halloween Kills, which was just what, 2018, 4 years ago. Even then, he was still just like this indestructible force, you know what I'm saying? And now all of a sudden, he's this weak old man, you know. So it's just, yeah, it's just like kind of weird. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and give y'all the story. So, I'm saying this because if you do not want any spoilers, because up until this point, I don't think I've really given you any spoilers. So if you don't, I'm telling y'all now, I'm gonna give you the moment to go ahead and click off this video, and y'all can come back to it after you have actually watched the movie. But if you've already watched it, or if you don't mind spoilers, let's go ahead and get into it like we're gonna get into it. Okay. So, like I said, the first part of the movie, we see they're setting up this backstory for this character named Corey. So Corey is this 21-year-old kind of nerdy guy, good guy. You know, he doesn't get into anything. He's kind of socially awkward, doesn't have many friends. So the year is I think it's 2019, right? Yes. And that's how it opens up, okay? Before it gets to present day. And we see Corey, he's babysitting for a family, and it's Halloween night. The family, the mom and dad are going out to like a Halloween party or whatever. And so Corey's babysitting their little bratty ass little boy, because baby, that little boy had a smart mouth. I would have popped him so far up in that thing. Like, oh my goodness, he was a little badass. He was. But anyway, so the little boy Jeremy, he ends up playing a prank on Corey. We get a reference to the last Halloween too. Before the parents went out, the mom told Corey that ever since Halloween last year, which would have been the 2018, the Halloween Kills, that Jeremy just has been not sleeping well. He's been having nightmares. He's been talking in his sleep. He's been hearing voices, yada, yada, yada. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like our first reference to the last Halloween. So the parents leave, the little boy being an asshole, and he tries to play a trick on Corey. Well, I think Corey had went to the refrigerator or something to get something to drink, and the little boy disappears, and he leaves the front door open. So Corey going outside looking for the little boy. He comes in, and he's calling the little boy, and so the little boy makes some noise, and so he follows the noise all the way up into the attic, which is on like the third level of the home, right? So the little boy ends up, once Corey goes into the attic, he closes the door and he locks him in there. So Corey starts freaking out, and he's kicking at the door, kicking at the door, kicking at the door. Meanwhile, the parents are pulling up at the house, and so Corey finally kicks the door open where the little boy was standing behind the door. So when he kicks the door open, yeah, it is not funny, but this whole little visual just like tripped me out. So when he kicks the door open, he kicks the little boy, and the little boy flies over the banister. And by this time, the parents are walking in, and so they literally see the little boy drop and hit the bottom of the floor. You know what I'm saying? So, of course, he ain't make it or whatever. So, anyways, that's kind of the backdrop of Corey's story. So now we present day 2022, and so Corey, he's kind of known as the villain of Hayden, what is it, Haddonfield. They call him a psycho. You know, he just gets taunted everywhere he goes, pretty much, right? So one thing too we hear like throughout the movie is like this radio broadcaster for the city. It's just talking about that. And of course, we're not on Halloween as of yet. This is a couple of days leading up to Halloween. So we just hear the broadcaster. He always kind of just talking about Halloween. He'll talk about Michael Myers and blah blah blah. So that's just a little thing that you're gonna hear throughout the movie here and there. And it becomes poignant later on. But anyway, so the dude Corey, he's at the gas station and he ends up getting bullied by some of the neighborhood kids, and these are like high schoolers. And now mind you, he is probably 24 at this time, because he was 21 when the whole babysitting incident happened, right? And these are some little and band members at there, y'all. One of the girls had on a full-blown band outfit. She came out with her little bibber on, and I was like, oh my God, nice. Don't tell me you finna get punked by these little bitty ass kids. So they did. They started bullying him, and he ends up falling, hurting his hands on some glass pretty bad. And it just so happened to be that Lori was at the gas station when this happened. So she gets some, and mind you, the little boy with Corey, he don't have a car none. He rides his little bike everywhere. So Lori sees him. She sees the kids bullying him, and she makes them leave him alone. They end up flattening the tires of the kids because the kids are in a car, right? And then she takes him to the hospital to get his hand looked at. Well, that's also where Lori's granddaughter works. She's a nurse and she's working for a doctor. And so she brings him there and really in hopes that the granddaughter and Corey can get this connection. And this is also one thing I really kind of didn't like. The granddaughter, Allison, her parents didn't make it. Well, her mom didn't make it off the last movie back in 2018. But this is what I didn't like, y'all. They really had her character being very, very, I almost kind of like desperate. She was definitely thirsty for Corey. Like from the moment she saw him, like she was just very up in his face, like, oh, I staring at him. I want to take you out and blah blah blah. It was just not typical, I'll say. But anyway, she kept pursuing the man, and he finally agreed. He gonna go to this Halloween party with her, whatever. It was a costume party. I think the company was doing, I don't know. But they go to this party, they connect, and he's there, and the mom from the little boy that had fell off the banister, she was there. And so she ends up calling him out, telling him he's a bad person, So Corey ends up running at the party, and he feels like Allison just brought him there to be mocked. And Allison's just like, no, I didn't. I did because I can connect with you. I understand where you're coming from, blah, blah, blah. And so he's just like, whatever. And so he leaves, and he's off on his little bike riding off, yeah. And so then the little kids, the little bully kids, the little bully band kids, the BBKs, bully band kids, they pull up on him. And so they started bullying him again. It was only really one girl was just like, okay, y'all really need to stop. Because it was 2 boys and 2 girls. And she was like, okay, y'all need to stop. I think her name was Margot or some shit. I don't know. But anyway, they end up bullying him. And one of the little boys, I think his name was Terry. He was like the ringleader. He ends up, they're on a viaduct, a bridge. And he ends up throwing him over the bridge. And so all the other 3 kids, they freaking out. And he was like, no, he jumped. And one was like, no, you threw him. And he's like, no, he jumped. So then they get out the car and leave, because they don't even know if Corey down there alive or not. He's just down there, and they just left him. So Corey down there, and next thing we see him get drugged off into like this little sewage opening. Well, of course, you can only surmise that it was Michael Myers that did that. And true enough, it was, right? So Michael Myers had drug him in there. And then when Corey kind of came through to himself, he tried to leave about the sewage. And because he didn't see Michael Myers at first, he just knew he was down there. He was waking up. He didn't know what was going on. So he sees some daylight from out the opening. So he goes toward the opening. And Michael Myers come out of nowhere, starts choking him, where they end up locking eyes. And it was just like, I don't know, if Michael Myers was just looking into his soul, and then all of a sudden he had some compassion, which is not of his character. So again, it's just some things in here you see, like, it just doesn't follow suit. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so he looks to his soul. And then I don't know if there's like a transference of evil there. I feel like that's kind of what it was. Or he just kind of passed the baton on to him. Or at first I thought he was just going to use him to get people and lure them in there. Now that's what I was really thinking, because shortly after this happens, Michael Myers let him go. And you know, that usually does not happen. So he goes and he climbs out of the the sewer. And as soon as he get out, there's like a homeless man. And he's just like, he always takes people in there and they never come back. How come he lets you out? And then a homeless man pulls a knife out on Corey. And then Corey ends up taking a knife and stabs the homeless man until he gone. And so I was just thinking, like, okay, this is what it's gonna be. Corey's gonna be the one taking everybody out and then bringing on to Michael Myers. So that's kind of what I was really thinking. But this obviously not how it went down. But anyway, so let me see. I'm trying to make sure I'm not leaving out some important details, but trying to give you a quick overview. So after this, Corey has changed. Obviously, he starts being evil. So, you know, he just took out the homeless man. And then he goes to Allison. He tells her that he's unalive somebody. And he wants her to go out of town with him and all this. And so, you know, she doesn't agree at first. And Corey ends up, you know, doing some more things. Like I'm trying to think who was next. I think they were at Corey and Allison were at like a coffee shop or something. And this guy that Allison used to talk to comes up and arrests them, like as if Corey wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? Like clearly they're there together. Like, you know what I'm saying? So Corey, you know, like, hey man, you know, you need to chill out. So then the cop, he starts talking bad about Corey, you know, like taunting Allison for even being with him and blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? And so next thing you know, this same evening, Corey takes him out. He lures the police officer. Like once he takes Allison home, he rides off where the police officer is at Allison home waiting on him in the car. And then he follows him on the motorcycle. He ended up getting this motorcycle from his stepfather, right? And so he follows him. Well, Corey picks up on that he's being followed. So he takes him to that bridge where the sewer opening is. And he ends up luring the police officer down to the sewer. And so once the police officer's down there, we see Michael Myers and Corey, they just kind of tag team each other with taking the police officer out. Like first Corey starts it, and then Michael Myers comes out of nowhere and he finishes it. And then even at one point, Corey is just like on the ground. He's like bear hugging the officer, like holding him still while Michael Myers keeps stabbing him. You know what I'm saying? So I was just like, what the hell? Like, where's this collaboration coming from? You know what I'm saying? But I was like, okay. So again, I'm still kind of like, okay, this is what he's doing. He gonna be bringing the folks down here to Michael, because Michael 2 weeks ago doing himself. You know what I'm saying? But we just kind of see like Corey just starts taking out people left and right that kind of have made fun of him or done him wrong, like or they have done Allison wrong, like he didn't like the way Allison's doctor, the doctor she worked for, he didn't like how he would talk to her. And then Allison was supposed to have gotten this promotion, and one of the other nurses got it, but the other nurse was being, you know, shysty about it. Like, she was telling Allison, like, oh, I thought you were gonna get it, blah blah blah. The whole time she knew she had got it, because she's sitting up there sleeping with the doctor. So he ends up going to the house and taking both of them out at the house, because the doctor was there. He had invited the nurse over because he wanted to bang her. And he gets taken out. Then Michael Myers shows up and finishes the job off. And so Corey's just telling Michael Myers, you know, I want you to teach me how to do this, blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah. Now by this time, Lori, she's getting suspicious of Corey. She says it's something about his eyes. She sees the evil, and it reminds her of Michael Myers, right? So at one point, we see Corey go back down to the sewer where Michael Myers has been hiding out, and he fights him and takes his mask. Like, what the hell? Like, this is so not Michael Myers. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's that easy just to be him, you know what I'm saying? And we hear Corey in this moment say something like, oh, you just a man, you know. So they're kind of keep pushing this thought that, oh, you're just a man. You're not real. You're not this immortal entity, right? So they're really pushing it. They're really kind of driving it their home throughout this movie. So he takes the man's mask, and now he really goes off and starts just taking people out left and right. So he ends up getting the kids back. He lures them to the automotive place where he and his stepfather works, right, at night. Now the stepfather is still there, but he's in his office. He got some headphones on. He watching a movie or something. So the kids follow Corey there, and ends up that Corey ends up taking all four of them out one by one, right? And so one of them, though, kind of gets away. He comes and knocks on the stepfather's window, trying to get his attention, get help. So the stepfather's like, okay, what's going on? And the little boy tells him. So the stepfather gives the little boy a gun and tells him to stay put in the office. He's going to go out, and he's the one that's going to go out and investigate. So the stepfather go out and investigate, and he see the kids, you know, well, one of them is, at this point, is still alive, and she's, yelling for help. So he goes to help the little girl. And when he does that, he looks up, and he sees his stepson. And the stepson, he don't have the mask on, but he got the mask in his hand. And then next thing you know, the little boy that's supposed to be staying his little buddy in the office is outside pointing the gun. And he's just like, I got you now. And so he shoots the gun. But at the same time he shoots the gun, the stepfather stands up to kind of block it from hitting Corey. And so then the stepfather just got shot with the gun and was taken out. Yeah, I'm just like, okay. And so, yeah, it's just like a lot of little things. Like, like I just said, like little nuggets from like previous Halloweens. Like even Corey ended up coming to Lori and Allison's house, and he was just standing behind the bush like Michael Myers did on the original Halloween. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like stuff like that. And then, okay, let me see. So he done killed the kids. Okay. Then, let me see. He goes to the radio station. Now, mind you, okay, I don't figure out this little detail. So, at some point, Allison decides that, yeah, I'm going to go out of town with you. So they had made a plan of when they were going to leave. And so Allison had packed her bags, and now Lori, of course, is trying to stop her. She's just like, he's evil, he's no good. Please don't go, blah, blah, blah. And Allison's just like, man, you the crazy one, you the evil one. You the one got all my family and my friends destroyed, and that's why they're no longer here with me. And speaking of, we also see some characters, again, like we see these two sisters and from the last Halloween, and the sister is now in a wheelchair and can't talk, and so they also confront Lori at one point in time while she was out at the grocery store. So yeah, we're seeing little things like that throughout. But anyway, so yeah, Allison leaves, and so she goes to the spot where she's supposed to meet Corey. But meanwhile, Corey out doing all, he just out here wreaking havoc, right, on Hayden'sville. And so he took the kids out. Now he's about to take out the radio host, because they got into it. And plus the radio host is always talking trash. So they had got into it one time when Corey had taken Allison to the radio station, but on top of the roof. He said that was kind of like his safe place. That's where he would go when he was being ridiculed by the town. And that was like where he would go and collect himself and, you know, just think, blah, blah, blah. And so when they were there, the radio host found out that they were there, and he ends up kicking them off the property. And of course, he started talking bad about Corey. So Corey, it's like he's just seeking revenge, you know what I'm saying? So he goes back to the radio. He takes out the little receptionist there. And y'all, this was probably the best one. The best one. He took the radio host out, y'all, but then he cut his tongue off, and that junk fell on the record player. So the record player was just going around with his tongue, and every time the little what do you call it thing where you drop it down to hear the record play. I'm just gonna call it the one. I know it ain't called one, but every time that tongue came around where the one was, he would like scratch. And so you can hear this like on the radio, and nobody knew what was going on. So anyway, yeah, that was probably the best one, right? So Allison, she's just there. She's waiting on Corey to show up. And of course, he doesn't, but she doesn't know why. So she eventually goes looking for him. And so because she's texting him, she's calling him, he's not answering. Okay, so then Corey ends up going home. Well, he and his mother don't have the best relationship. The mama's just like overbearing. She treats him like he's 5 years old. And even at one point, she even kissed him in his mouth. Like, I don't know. It just kind of, it was weird. It was weird. You know what I'm saying? It reminded me kind of a Bates Motel kind of situation almost. But anyways, yeah, so he liked the way his mom had been talking to him, and so and treating him. So he ends up taking his mama out. He come in the house, and the mama's thinking it's the stepdad, and it's really Corey, and she didn't stand a chance. So he did that, and then he goes on, and so eventually Allison does come to the house, to his house, Corey's house. And so she's knocking on the door. And of course, ain't nobody answering because the stepfather got taken out over at the automotive place. And then the mom is just gone right there in her own living room. And Corey just out on the town, just taking out everybody. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so then we see I think Lori, and I'm just kind of giving y'all like the big pieces here and there. So then we see Lori. Oh, this is one thing I did forget to tell y'all. That was also kind of woven throughout the movie. Lori is kind of writing like a story of her life. She's writing her memoir about her time and her time on Earth and her involvement with Michael Myers. So we get there. Like when the movie first opens, kind of gets started, we hear her voice writing as she's writing the story. Okay. And so I say that to just because it's a very important fact. I don't know how I forgot to tell y'all that at the beginning. But anyway, so now at this point in the movie, we see Laurie. She goes to the office where she's been working on her story, her book. She's looking at the pages. And so next thing you know, we see her open up this safe and she pulls out a gun. And then she makes a call to 911 and she's just like, she wants to report that she wants to report that she's about to take her own life. And then she hangs up the phone, right? And so next thing you know, we see her get up and she's pointing the gun at her head. Then she points it under her chin. And then like she kind of goes behind the door and we just hear the gun go off, right? And I was just thinking, now I know she did not. I said that would have been too easy. That would have been too easy, right? And so of course it was, because then the door opens up and it is Corey. And she had shot one of the pumpkins she had on the fireplace mantle versus herself, because we end up seeing the pumpkin guts everywhere. And she was just like, did you really think I would do that? Did you really think it would be that easy? And so then she ends up shooting him. Well, she does this because now she had tried to warn her earlier that he's no good. She believes he's evil and he needs to leave her granddaughter alone, right? Her granddaughter Allison. And he's just basically like, nope, he ain't gonna do it. If nobody can have her, then if he can't have her, nobody will. Like basically is what he was saying. So she shoots him, but he's not gone. And so she's down there, and again, Laurie's just like, I told you to leave Allison alone. And he starts to say, if I can't have her, and then he plunges the knife he has in his throat, right? So at this point, she pulls the knife out of his throat. I don't know why, but she does. And when she does that, Allison just so happened to be coming home, right? And so she walks in, seeing him gone, which she feels is the love of her life. And she just sees her grandmama holding the knife. So she automatically thinks that her grandmother did it, right? And so then she runs off. She runs away because she's pissed. And when she does, she closes the door behind her, runs down, jumps in the car, and leaves, right? But so Laurie, she starts crying and kind of slides down the wall, and she's just sitting there. And then the camera pans open to the front door, where now the front door is open. And then we see a hand pick up the knife. And y'all, we already know it's Michael Myers, right? And so Laurie kind of gives up, and she runs and hides somewhere in the kitchen. So Michael Myers going through the house looking for her. And so he eventually comes to the kitchen. Laurie kind of had the microwave going to kind of distract him. And so when it goes off, he turns toward the microwave, and she jumps out of the closet and starts beating him with a fire extinguisher, right? So they get into a tussle, and in some kind of instance, she ends up getting a knife, and she stabs it through his hand onto the countertop. So one hand is now pinned to the countertop. Then she gets another one and stabs his other hand through the countertop. Then she drops the refrigerator down on him. And so she basically is just like, okay, you gone now, you gone. And she ends up taking one more knife, and I think she pierced it like inside of his chest or something. But the man still ain't dead, right? So he ends up reaching up with one hand. He rips it out because you see his whole hand just slit. And he grabs about her throat and he's choking her. Well, the granddaughter, Allison, while she had run away, had gotten a call from Frank. And we all know who he is. And he had told her that they had received a 911 call that Lori was going to take her life. And so the granddaughter runs back to the house. And so she walks in on Michael Myers choking Lori. And so she's just like, nope, ain't gonna happen. So she grabs Michael Myers' arms, breaks it, and then Lori ends up coming back and slitting his throat. And so now he's gone, right? He's gone. And so they decide to tie him to the top of the car and parade him through Haddonfield, right? Because he's kind of represented this entity that has haunted that city for over, or that town for over like 40 years, right? And so like all the townspeople like are either following in their car, they're walking. And so they end up taking him to like the trash field. It was a trash compactor. I know that. I say that. Just think like a big ass blender, okay? So they hoisted him up on top of the up into the compactor, and then Lori turns it on and they watch him just go through the blades and get eaten or whatever, right? I mean, not Allison turns it on and Lori kind of stands on top of it and just watches, right? And they just see him kind of go, right? So Allison ends up telling Lori, that she was right about Corey being evil. He had been consumed by evil. And so then we just see Allison happy. She's moved on. She's about to leave out the city. And I believe she's probably going to be the one to continue the franchise. You know what I'm saying? And again, it was just like she's like evil doesn't die, it just changes shape. We hear that as Lori is finishing up her book. So again, it's just like that running thing that evil can change from person to person. Because even at one time when Lori had confronted Corey the first time about leaving Allison alone, when Corey had went back to the house where the little boy had fell over the banister, where the house is abandoned now. And Corey had went and was sleeping in the same place where the little boy landed on the floor. So Lori ends up confronting him in the house. And she was just telling him, I don't know what's up with you. I feel like something going on. You got some evil in you. And she was just like, it's two types of evil in the world. Those that are external and those that come from within, or something to that point. So it was just kind of like this same kind of thing. Like it was evil that had consumed him. And she was just like, that's the most dangerous, because sometimes you don't even realize that the evil is in you or whatever. So it ends with like Frank coming over to see Lori. He ends up leaving her like this fruit basket, and they exchange some words, and he had been trying to get her to go somewhere, and it looks like she agreed. So it seems like maybe they were going to kind of get together or deepen their friendship in a different kind of way or something, if you know what I mean, and go off to the sunset. And but yeah, that was pretty much the movie, y'all. I like I said, it was just right here for me. It was just, and if I had to lean toward this way or this way, I'm definitely kind of going that way. It was like so many things that just did not follow suit, and I do definitely think it's a setup, like just with the running things they kept trying to put out there, like how evil never dies, it just changes shapes. I do feel like we're gonna get some more from this franchise, and it will probably be centered around Allison or something like that. I do think this is going to probably be the end for Jamie Lee Curtis as Lori. But yeah. And then for it to be their final showdown, I wish I would have seen more. Like, he did just kind of throw her around a lot, but for him to be taken out finally, I thought it was just would have been a little bit more. It's a bit more anticlimactic for me. And then, like, even when she did, of course, like, she rips off his mask when he's when she finally slit his throat for the last time. She rips off his mask and she says again something to the effect, "Oh, you're just a man." You know what I'm saying? So it's that whole thing, like, they're putting to bed that he's this immortal evil entity. You know what I'm saying? That theme has run through the movie as well. And then one thing I will say too, I did notice, is that when she did rip off his mask, we never saw what happened with the mask, because it didn't get put in that trash compactor with him. So I guarantee that somebody done picked up that mask, and that's who's gonna come back disguising themselves as Michael Myers. So anyways, y'all tell me what y'all thought. What stood out from you? I tried to kind of give you like a quick overview without being so detailed. I think I hit all the important things and I gave you my thoughts. So I want to hear from y'all. Like, what do y'all think? And first of all, definitely tell me if you liked it, loved it, hated it, or if it was just so-so. And then, yeah, tell me what you definitely liked about it, what you didn't like about it. Do y'all think it's going to be more to this franchise? Or do y'all think this is it, the final showdown? It's the finale. It's not going to be anymore. I want to hear y'all thoughts. So, all right, y'all. Until next time, peace out. I'm going to pray for y'all. Y'all please pray for me. And what? Bye, y'all.